Under the quiet watch, Emma Davis moved into her new apartment in a quiet suburb of Chicago, eager for a fresh start. After ending a long-term relationship and leaving her chaotic downtown life behind, she craved peace and anonymity. That night, another message arrived, chillingly specific. "You look nervous tonight. Don't be afraid. I'm just watching." Emma's sleepless nights became frequent. Max growled at shadows, and her phone never stopped buzzing with creepy texts. She set up a camera at her door and changed her phone number. Still, the messages found her. One afternoon, as she sat in a cafe, a man brushed past her table. His eyes met hers briefly before he disappeared into the crowd. Something about him felt wrong. That cold, empty gaze. She notified the building manager. "Has anyone strange been hanging around?" she asked. "No one I know," he replied, but noted the building had had issues with trespassers before. With no leads, Emma felt trapped. Even her coworkers noticed her dwindling presence and distracted mind. At work, her emails sometimes had strange replies she didn't remember sending. She started locking her computer and changed passwords, wondering if someone had hacked her. One night, Emma came home to find the doormat flipped over. Upstairs, a window slightly ajar sent cold air into the room. Panic surged. She called the police. The officers arrived, took pictures, and searched the apartment. Nothing was stolen, no fingerprints found, but the violation made Emma's blood run cold. "Someone's been here," she said shakily. "They'll find the culprit," an officer reassured, but Emma doubted it. That week, messages took a sinister turn. "Watching you sleep is my favorite pastime. You can't hide. I'm always closer than you think." Emma's world shrank. She stopped answering calls and messages. She barricaded windows and slept in the living room next to Max. Claire offered to stay over, but Emma pushed her away, not wanting to drag her friend into the nightmare. One night, Emma awoke to Max's low growl. The apartment was silent except for footsteps in the hallway outside. She whispered, "Who's there?" No reply. Grabbing her phone, she switched on the flashlight and peered out the door. At the end of the hall, framed in dim light from the street lamps, was a figure, a man, face partially obscured by a hat. He smiled thinly. Emma slammed her door, fumbling to lock it. She called 911, voice trembling. "Sir, are you okay?" the dispatcher asked. "Someone's in my apartment," Emma whispered. Sirens wailed in the distance. The figure vanished moments before police arrived. They swept the building, no sign of the man. Detective Sam Harris took Emma's case personally. He reviewed texts and video footage, focusing on contacts with the unknown stalker. "For what it's worth, we're going to catch this guy," Harris promised. "We'll get you monitored and any suspicious activity traced." But as days turned to weeks, no arrests followed. The building was old but cozy. A small complex situated on a tree-lined street where neighbors exchanged polite nods but rarely much more. It felt safe. At 28, Emma worked as a graphic designer at a marketing firm and often worked late hours from home. The stalker was stealthy, draining Emma's strength and sanity. Emma attended counseling sessions, but sleep eluded her. One evening, Emma received a new message, "I'm inside." She froze. Checking the lock, she found it unlatched. Max barked furiously. "They're on their way," she whispered. Minutes passed. Suddenly, the power went out. Her phone lost signal. In utter darkness, a shadow moved past her living room window. She didn't sleep that night. Emma began documenting everything: strange messages, suspicious sounds, unexplainable shadows. Neighbors reported seeing someone lurking near the building late at night, but no one could identify him. Claire found Emma one morning rocking in the dark, panic etched on her face. "You have to get away from here," Claire urged. "Nowhere safe," Emma whispered. One morning, Emma's phone buzzed with a final message. "You almost had me there." Her blood ran cold. The next day, she disappeared. Police found Emma's apartment empty. Her belongings were gone, except for Max, who was chained on the balcony, whimpering. No clues, no trace. The stalker was never found. Claire and Detective Harris kept the search alive but found nothing. Months passed, and the town remained shrouded in fear. Matthew and Lisa had left the force, unable to shake the memories of that night. They tried to move on, but the shadows followed them, whispering their secrets. One evening, as Matthew walked through the empty streets, he felt a chill in the air. The whispers returned, echoing in his mind. "Join us, help us." He glanced around, but there was no one there. The darkness felt alive, watching him from the shadows. From that day, I still remain thinking about it. The calls we couldn't answer, the voices we couldn't trace, and the presence we could never see but always felt. The town of Brookside stood as a reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond sight, forever haunting those who dared to listen. Months turned into years, and the memory of Emma faded into the background of the town's collective consciousness. But for Claire, the haunting never ceased. She moved to a new apartment, hoping to escape the shadows of Elmwood Lane, but the whispers followed her. One night, as she lay in bed, she received a message from an unknown number. Her heart raced as she opened it, expecting the worst. She quickly blocked the number, but the feeling of being watched returned, stronger than ever. The next day, she decided to visit the old apartment complex, driven by a mix of fear and curiosity. As she approached, the familiar sense of dread washed over her. She liked the solitude after busy days and enjoyed evening walks in the neighborhood. Little did she know, the quiet on Elmwood Lane was deceptive. The first few weeks were uneventful. The building stood silent, but something felt off. The air was thick with tension, and the shadows seemed to stretch longer than they should. She walked around the building, peering into the windows. Everything looked the same, yet different. The curtains were drawn tight, and the once vibrant flowers in the garden had wilted. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her. Turning quickly, she saw a figure standing at the edge of the property, half hidden in the trees. It was a man, his face obscured by the shadows. "Who are you?" Claire called out, her voice trembling. The figure stepped forward, revealing a familiar face. It was the man she had seen before, the one who had haunted Emma. "Looking for someone?" he asked, a chilling smile spreading across his lips. Claire's heart raced as she turned to run, but the man's laughter echoed behind her, sending shivers down her spine. She sprinted to her car, fumbling with the keys as panic surged through her. Claire drove away, her hands shaking on the wheel. She needed to tell someone, to warn them about the man who had tormented Emma. But who would believe her? The police had dismissed her concerns before. That night, she couldn't sleep. The man's face haunted her dreams, and the whispers returned, echoing in her mind. "Help us! Join us!" The next day, Claire decided to confront her fears. She called Detective Harris, who had been deeply affected by Emma's case. He agreed to meet her at a local cafe. As they sat down, Claire recounted everything: the messages, the figure, the feeling of being watched. Harris listened intently, his expression grave. "I believe you," he said finally. "We need to take this seriously. If he's back, we need to find him before he strikes again." They devised a plan to set up surveillance around the old apartment complex, hoping to catch the stalker in the act. Claire felt a mix of fear and determination. She couldn't let Emma's story end in silence. That night, Claire and Harris positioned themselves in a nearby van, equipped with cameras and binoculars. The air was thick with tension as they waited, eyes scanning the shadows. Hours passed, and just as Claire began to doubt their efforts, she spotted movement near the trees. The figure emerged, cloaked in darkness, moving with an unsettling grace. "There he is," Claire whispered, pointing. Harris focused the camera, capturing every detail. The man moved closer to the building, glancing around as if searching for something or someone. "Let's go," Harris said, adrenaline surging. They exited the van, approaching the figure cautiously. "Hey," Harris shouted, his voice echoing in the stillness. The man turned, eyes wide with surprise. Emma settled into her routine. Mornings filled with coffee and emails, evenings sketching or binge-watching old movies. She liked living alone, even welcomed it. One evening, she noticed something odd. For a moment, he froze, then bolted into the shadows. "Stop!" Harris yelled, chasing after him. Claire followed, heart pounding as they navigated the darkened path. The man was fast, darting through the trees, but Harris was determined. He could hear the man's footsteps pounding against the ground, the sound growing fainter. Suddenly, the man stumbled, falling to the ground. Harris lunged forward, tackling him to the ground. "Get off me!" the man shouted, struggling against Harris's grip. "Who are you?" Harris demanded, pinning him down. The man's face twisted in anger. "You don't know what you're messing with." Claire stepped closer, her heart racing. "What do you want?" "I just wanted to watch," he spat, his eyes wild. She was perfect. "I just wanted to see her." "Emma," Claire gasped, realization dawning. "You were stalking her." The man laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down her spine. "She was mine. You took her away." Harris tightened his grip, pulling out his handcuffs. "You're under arrest." As they cuffed him, the man's expression shifted from anger to something darker. "You think this is over? You have no idea what's coming." With the stalker in custody, Claire felt a wave of relief wash over her. They had finally caught him, but the victory felt hollow. The darkness that had haunted Emma still lingered. Detective Harris worked tirelessly to gather evidence against the man, but as the days turned into weeks, the case grew complicated. The man had connections, and his story twisted into a web of lies. Claire attended the hearings, watching as the man smirked at her from across the room. He was confident, almost mocking, and it made her skin crawl. One evening, as she returned home, she received a message from an unknown number. "You think you've won?" "I'm always watching." Panic surged through her. She quickly blocked the number, but the feeling of being watched returned, stronger than ever. Determined to confront her fears, Claire decided to visit the old apartment complex again. She needed closure, to face the place that had haunted her and Emma. As she approached, the air felt heavy, thick with memories. The building stood silent, but something felt off. The shadows seemed to stretch longer than they should. Suddenly, she heard a noise behind her. Turning quickly, she saw the figure standing at the edge of the property, half hidden in the trees. It was the man, his face obscured by the shadows. "Looking for someone?" he asked, a chilling smile spreading across his lips. She had just returned from a walk, keys in hand, when her phone buzzed with a message. "Nice evening for a walk, isn't it?" Emma frowned, checking the number. It was unfamiliar. "Who is this?" she texted back cautiously. No response. Claire's heart raced as she turned to run, but the man's laughter echoed behind her, sending shivers down her spine. She sprinted to her car, fumbling with the keys as panic surged through her. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror, but the man was gone. The feeling of dread lingered, a shadow that refused to fade. Days turned into weeks, and Claire tried to return to normalcy, but the whispers haunted her thoughts. She avoided the old apartment complex, but the memories lingered like a ghost. One night, as she lay in bed, she received another message from the unknown number. "You can't escape me!" Her heart raced as she blocked the number again, but the feeling of being watched never left. She confided in Harris, who assured her they were doing everything they could. But as the weeks passed, the stalker's presence loomed larger. Claire felt trapped in a nightmare, unable to wake up. Desperate for answers, Claire decided to confront the stalker one last time. She returned to the old apartment complex, determined to face her fears. As she approached, the air felt electric, charged with tension. The shadows danced around her, and the whispers returned, echoing in her mind. "Help us! Join us!" Claire shook her head, trying to dispel the voices. She stepped into the building, heart pounding. The familiar scent of dust and decay filled her nostrils. "Show yourself!" she shouted, her voice echoing in the empty halls. Silence. But then she heard it, footsteps behind her. She turned, but no one was there. "Come on!" she yelled, frustration boiling over. "I'm not afraid of you." Suddenly, the lights flickered and the temperature dropped. Claire felt a cold breath on her neck, and the whispers grew louder, swirling around her like a storm. "Join us! Help us!" Panic surged through her as she stumbled back, heart racing. She turned to run, but the shadows closed in around her, suffocating her. Claire burst out of the building, gasping for breath. She ran to her car, heart pounding in her chest. The whispers faded, but the feeling of dread lingered. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the man behind her. But the road was empty, the night still. Days turned into weeks, and the stalker's presence faded, but the fear remained. Claire tried to move on, but the memories haunted her. One night, she received a final message. "You can't escape me. I'll always be watching." Claire's heart sank as she realized the truth. The stalker was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Months passed, and the town remained shrouded in fear. Shrugging, she locked the door and tried not to think further about it. Days passed, and Emma started receiving more messages, sometimes simple comments on the weather, other times hints that the sender was nearby. The messages often arrived late at night when Emma's guard was down. Claire tried to return to normalcy, but the whispers never faded. She moved to a new apartment, hoping to escape the shadows of Elmwood Lane, but the feeling of being watched followed her. One evening, as she lay in bed, she heard a noise outside her window. Heart racing, she crept to the curtain and peered out. Nothing, but the feeling of dread lingered, a shadow that refused to fade. From that day, I still remained thinking about it. The calls we couldn't answer, the voices we couldn't trace, and the presence we could never see but always felt. The darkness that lurked just beyond sight, forever haunting those who dared to listen. Years later, Claire received a call from Detective Harris. He had news about the stalker. "We found something," he said, his voice grave. "We need you to come in." Claire's heart raced as she arrived at the station. Harris led her to a small room filled with evidence boards and photographs. "We've been tracking him," he explained. "He's been moving around, but we finally got a lead." Claire's breath caught in her throat. "What do you mean?" "We believe he's been targeting other women in different towns. We need your help to identify him." As they reviewed the evidence, Claire felt a mix of fear and determination. She couldn't let this man continue to haunt others. But as they pieced together the puzzle, a chilling realization dawned on her. The stalker was always one step ahead, slipping through their fingers like smoke. Despite their efforts, the case grew cold again. The stalker vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of fear and unanswered questions. Claire tried to move on, but the memories haunted her. She often found herself looking over her shoulder, expecting to see the man lurking in the shadows. One night, As she lay in bed, she received a final message from an unknown. Each message felt like a ripple of unease creeping into her life. I saw you at the coffee shop today. That blouse looks great on you. Her attempts to ignore the texts failed. The sender knew too much. She showed the messages to her friend Claire, who lived a few blocks away. You need to tell someone, Claire said firmly, eyeing Emma's pale face. Emma agreed, but wasn't sure where to begin. The police were skeptical at first, labeling it as a prank or online harassment. One evening, as Emma walked her dog Max, she noticed a man standing across the street, half hidden behind a hulking oak tree. He vanished before she could focus. Her heart pounded. She quickened her pace. When she reached home, she locked every door and window twice. Thanks for watching. The veil between our world and theirs is thinner than you think. Each like, each share, each subscription strengthens the connection. Feed the channel before it feeds on you.